Hi everyone, I'm Ash. Since this isn't my usual topic, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. I hope you enjoy it. And if you are new, I will introduce you to this is Elsa, and the moving couch cushion back there is Olaf. So, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. I will say at the outset that believe all women is not me. I do not blindly believe anyone just because we share similarities. That is not how I operate. Now, I will not bash somebody without cause. I try not to bash someone anyway, but I don't just blindly go into something. I like to research it, I like to form my own opinions, and I encourage you to do the same. That's what this channel is all about. But I also don't hop on popular bandwagons just because a PR firm tells me to or the media is pushing a narrative. Especially not when common sense is painting an entirely different picture. So I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this topic. A quick overview. I had never heard of Justin Baldoni before this movie came out. So this is not me automatically siding with a favorite star or somebody that I followed. Frankly, even though it looks like the case against him is flimsy at first glance, I don't know anything about him beyond the texts I've read and the dailies I've seen. What I knew about Blake Lively could be described as what I knew about Meghan Markle circa 2017. And like I said, there's similarities. I never watched her show. I was somewhat aware of her show, more so Blake than Meghan. Although I'd seen a few projects she was in, but let's face it, she's most famous because of who she married. Does that sound familiar? And because of that familiarity, I began paying attention when the story heated up, because I recognize stories about women who are used to getting their way and are then confronted by someone who isn't afraid to stand up to them, and they spiral and go on a revenge tour. I started really paying attention to the It Ends With Us drama when Justin was criticized for hiring a crisis manager. Now, anyone would hire a crisis manager. That was a perfectly normal, legitimate reaction when a Hollywood A-lister and his wife, who's well known, are coming after his livelihood. So that was a giant red flag for me. The media is trying to push this certain narrative. And then the sexual harassment lawsuit that did not seem largely centered on actual sexual harassment. It seemed to focus more on this alleged smear campaign against her. And Blake, if it was a smear campaign, it was using your own words. So this whole he said, she said in the media, if you don't want your words used against you, use nicer words.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about...
I read a lot. And I haven't read this particular book, but because I follow a lot of Goodreads pages and things like that, I knew about the book, I knew about the subject matter, and her behavior was another giant red flag for me, the one of many, when the movie came out. She was treating this like she was Margot Robbie in the Barbie movie and promoting it. It was all about fashion and lighthearted fun in a movie about DV. And I found that disturbing. So my son mentioned that he could not believe how she was acting after he saw the movie. He believed her. He believed the campaign that this was a rom-com based on her behavior. And I'll preface this by saying he is a legal adult. So while he wasn't exactly the target audience for this movie, he was the target age range. And when a big group of his friends decided to see the movie, they were all shocked at the disturbing and triggering subject matter, at least is what he told me after the fact, and I'm not surprised. So it looks like the rest of the public was justifiably reacting to her own actions with negativity as well, and that's when I noticed that Blake seemed to focus on twisting the narrative, in my opinion, allegedly. The problem was the narrative was negative because of her own words. This movie is about DV, and you're glamorizing it with these fashion choices, which I understand that's what she's most famous for. At least that's what I consider her most famous for. But grab your girls and wear your florals is not appropriate for this type of movie.
And It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
And so when she filed her lawsuit, a fleet of red flags just went up for me. Starting with, she did this right before Christmas. I don't care if you celebrate the holiday or not, a major lawsuit like this that you know is going to hit international media news cycles in minutes can wait until January. That just, maybe it's petty on my part. I think it was petty on her part, but I just could not believe a mother of 4 could willingly do this right before Christmas for, I think he has a father of 2 children. Now, I've heard that he's not a Christian, so maybe he doesn't celebrate, but still, it rubbed me the wrong way. Just that time of year, I mean, try and do better anytime, but especially then, just hold off for 2 weeks. You know, if you've waited a year, and then Blake dropped all of this alleged evidence, and I saw holes you could drive a car through. Breastfeeding in the makeup trailer, and she felt uncomfortable. Now, first of all, I'm a mother. I have breastfed. I also lean towards shy and reserved in real life in that type of scenario, so I would always have a cover with me for my own comfort level. Sometimes I used it, sometimes I didn't. It depended on the scenario. I'm sure that's the same for all mothers, that you just, decide in that moment. Otherwise, I mean, the baby covers the majority of what's important depending on what you're wearing. Second, she is an actor, and she is someone who I would assume is used to wardrobe fittings, body makeup, love scenes, and likely changing clothes very quickly in certain scenarios, whether, I don't know if she does a lot of Broadway, but I know backstage is just kind of a free-for-all. Like, you get your costume back on and you get out there. You're under a time limit. So regardless of who is around, I find it disingenuous to think that she is at all uncomfortable while feeding her child. I just had a hard time imagining that she would be so uncomfortable. It's her body. I get it. But third, if she was so uncomfortable, why was she breastfeeding in the makeup trailer where anyone could walk in? Why not go to the privacy of your own trailer behind a locked door with a security guard stationed in front of it until you feel more comfortable to see people? Again, another red flag. Fourth reason, this was her 4th child. Of course, there can be exceptions to every rule, but every single woman I know loses that modesty about feeding their child typically, usually by the 2nd from the women I know. I would think by the 3rd for pretty much everybody at the absolute latest. So 4th child, yeah, come on in. I'm just feeding my baby. And my second point kind of covers this one as well. I just can't imagine an actress who's used to being at least partially unclothed, used to a lot of fashion decisions, would have such an issue with somebody walking in while she was choosing to breastfeed in a semi-public location. And then the text came out where she said, and direct quote, "I'm just pumping in our trailer if you want to work out our lines." To which Baldoni replied, "Eating with the crew and we'll head that way." How uncomfortable was she really to send something like that? Now, another topic, the fat shaming allegation. I immediately delved into that because it sounded so ridiculous that the woman who is known for figure-hugging fashion was fat shamed. And then I see that Justin has chronic back pain, multiple bulging discs. Like, Blake Lively actually equated a health issue to no pertinent medical information for medical purposes for his health to fat shaming. The exaggerated drama could have been taken from the Meghan Markle playbook. I automatically think near catastrophic car chase. And if you follow Meghan and Harry, even if you don't, you probably know what I'm talking about. But anyway, and then the resurfaced media showing that she was a mean girl, and I'm using the frequent, I don't know if it was headlines, it was more comments that I saw equating her to a mean girl, but it really kind of turned my stomach. You want to talk about fat shaming and you're the one telling another woman, congratulations on your little bump. That was, yeah, it was her own words. It's not a smear campaign when you said it and it's now just being recycled again. I mean, if you didn't want that shown, then don't say it. I cannot remember a time where I have ever said anything like that to another woman. It's just, it blows my mind. Then we have the New York Times article. It's very popular for independent media to say that we are the media now, and this is a good example as to why. The mainstream media always seems to be willing in this day and age to push whatever narrative fits their agenda, whether it's due to money, politics, popularity, or just wanting access to a particular person. So then we get the news that WME has dropped Justin Baldoni as their client. Now, I already don't trust anything coming out of WME because I am familiar with them due to their representation of Meghan Markle, and they are just, yeah. I mean, if you align with her, then I question you anyway. So the fact that they dropped him so quickly, it was noticeable. It was questionable. And then her disturbing text came out. And I didn't see this until last week. I think it came out probably when he created his website, but I didn't actually see it until last week. And I was so, kind of grossed out by it. So the one that I'm referencing is when she said, I can send you my pass at the roof or just read with you when we get together next week. Let me know what you prefer. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language. Spicy and playful, bold, never with teeth. And him serving it back to her is just as important. You don't usually see both the man and woman with such agency and humor. Anyway, I can act it out for you next week to make sure it comes through, or I can send now. Let me know what you prefer. Justin replied, sorry, was just crying my eyes out as the kids and family just left for another 5 weeks and it was a blank show. That just grossed me out. I mean, I'm a married woman. I cannot imagine sending that type of text, even with this type of subject matter. It's just, if anyone was being sexually harassed in that moment, I felt like it was her towards him, because he seemed to really try and deflect. He brought up his family immediately. It was just, you don't even need to read between the lines, just read the lines. It was disturbing. And based on past history, it's my opinion that, so the way Blake and Ryan allegedly got together was they fell for each other on a movie set, and this was supposedly a pattern of behavior for her. I didn't follow her. I don't know who she was. I think she was with her Gossip Girl co-star, if I remember correctly, but I really don't know. But I heard at the time that they got together, she and Ryan got together on the Green Lantern set. Ryan was, I believe, married to Scarlett Johansson, and yeah, the rest is history. So we have past behavior of what seems to be inappropriate connections on sets, and it's my opinion that Blake was falling for Justin. I don't know if that's true. That's just the pattern of how I see her past, and from the texts that have come to light, I think perhaps her husband found out and maybe she freaked, twisted the script a bit to blame the guy. Or maybe she was just mad that she was rejected. I don't know. It's all supposition on my part. It's all just, there are signs. And whether the signs lead to that particular narrative, who knows? But now damage control is in full swing for Blake and Ryan. And we see that atrocious quote of her being Khaleesi and releasing her dragons. And so you're implying that you wear this sweet and innocent facade, and behind the mask you're a living nightmare who's power mad and can't stand anyone who opposes you. I mean, did you watch the show? Because that's who Khaleesi represented. and talking about a supposedly real friendship where you insinuate that you can just point your dragon, aka Taylor and Ryan, and fire at will. I'm not surprised Taylor seems to be distancing herself. I mean, she sure didn't invite them to the Super Bowl like she did in 2024. I would think if it were me, I'd be doubly mad that a supposed friend not only said that about her to begin with, but then she also essentially drags her into this legal drama and smear campaign. So I don't blame her if she is distancing herself. Added to that, she literally called them monsters and insinuates how much power she has behind them. And we're supposed to believe that this woman was left feeling intimidated on set. I mean, that she's going to wait until legal action to basically put on her big girl pants and deal with it. Make it make sense. And just as a quick aside, did Blake not watch the show? Spoilers to anyone who hasn't seen Game of Thrones. Skip a few seconds ahead, because did she not see the man that she loved literally sacrifice Daenerys for the good of humanity? I mean, you might want to check the status of your marriage, Blake. But I guess we don't really need to, since she and Ryan are now walking red carpets again and making jokes on SNL and about his wife being allegedly sexually harassed. Yeah, perfectly normal joke. Are you kidding me? At this point, I would be shocked if Justin Baldoni settles. I mean, he has too much to lose if he is as innocent as he claims. And his entire career is on the line, which I would argue that hers is too. So let's face it, she didn't have much of a career to begin with, and I don't say that to be mean. I know Gossip Girl was popular in its day, but that was literally over a decade ago, and that's like dog years in Hollywood. So she is known now for her fashion and her husband, at least that's how I associate her. And it's no surprise that Blake and Ryan appear to be a bit desperate these days. And if it actually does end up in court, someone please remind Blake, don't forget to wear your florals. So that'll about do it for today. I will continue to cover this topic if there's more to cover. We'll see where everything leads, but I want to thank you for watching and do all the fun things. If you wouldn't mind, like, subscribe, share, leave me a comment. Let me know if you're Team Blake or Team Justin, or if you haven't decided yet. So I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Bye.